New at 5:30 now, Sean Diddy Combs has been hit with another lawsuit. A former bandmate accuses the music mogul of years of abuse and misconduct.
It has been a long journey to get here. She did not want to hide. Why should she hide her head in shame? She has not done anything wrong.
Dawn Richards just blew the lid off Diddy's darkest secrets, and it's worse than anyone could have imagined. The explosive footage of her abuse is out, and this time, Kim and Cassie's names are all tangled up in the mess. This isn't just another accusation. This is hard, undeniable proof that's going to turn the music industry on its head. If you thought Diddy was untouchable, think again. First things first, Diddy's been doing the Harlem Shuffle. Literally. This guy decided to take a casual stroll through the same streets he used to run back in the day. But it's not like he was just reminiscing about the old times. Nah. He's been hanging with some, let's say, questionable company. And don't even get me started on this man in the red shirt hyping Diddy up, talking about knocking people's teeth out. It's giving desperation, and Diddy is out here brushing waves like that's going to distract us from the real drama. But the Harlem tour wasn't just about catching up with old buddies. Diddy made a special visit to G-Dep. Remember him? The rapper who turned himself in for a and ended up spending 13 years behind bars? Yeah, him. G-Dep just got out 5 months ago, and Diddy's acting like he's been down for the cause this whole time. Spoiler alert, he hasn't. Not a dime on the commissary, not a single visit in 13 years. But now that G-Dep's free, Diddy's all hugs and photo ops. As if Diddy's Harlem antics weren't enough, the next day he gets hit with a $100 million lawsuit from some guy in Michigan who claims Diddy assaulted him back in the 90s. And get this, Diddy didn't even bother showing up to court. So now there's a default judgment against him. One day you're brushing waves, the next day you're losing millions. Life comes at you fast. Diddy's 2024 is going up in flames, and now Dawn Richard, former Danity Kane star, just dropped a lawsuit that's straight up wild. We're talking accusations of sexual assault, sleep deprivation, and Diddy not paying her a dime of what she was owed. But it doesn't end there. Dawn claims she saw Diddy's toxic behavior firsthand, and trust, it's darker than anyone could have imagined. Back in 2004, when Dawn got linked with Diddy through making the band, things went south quick. Diddy didn't hold back, calling the female contestants fat, ugly, and worse. But the real nightmare? Dawn says they were pushed to their breaking points, rehearsing for days on end with no breaks for food or rest. No sleep, no food, just constant grind. Dawn even claims she lost dangerous amounts of weight and developed painful rashes from wearing the mic pack non-stop. Imagine your body falling apart while MTV just kept the cameras rolling. Now, let's dive into the worst parts. Dawn says it wasn't just verbal. She claims Diddy and his crew were into some seriously illegal activities. She claims to have witnessed Diddy physically abuse his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura multiple times, and says she saw some extremely sketchy stuff, like Diddy and his associates allegedly doing drugs and even being involved in inappropriate acts with underage girls. It's like the glamorous life he sold to the public was hiding something way more sinister. And this isn't just some off-the-cuff accusation. Dawn says this is the real Diddy, the one who's been hiding behind his larger-than-life image while allegedly terrorizing the people closest to him. But things took a deeper dive for Dawn in 2010 when her health started to break down. After all that grueling work on making the band, she was diagnosed with anemia and a low white blood cell count. Her joints were shot too, dealing with something called arthralgia, which means painful joint stiffness. So yeah, her body was wrecked from all the stress and pressure, and according to Dawn, it was all a direct result of the brutal treatment she endured while working for Diddy. According to the suit, Diddy's behavior was anything but professional, and things only got darker the longer Richard stayed around him. Richard says Diddy had no respect for boundaries, frequently barging into her dressing room without warning. And we're not talking casual drop-ins. He'd get handsy, touching her inappropriately while pretending to help position her clothing. And if that wasn't enough, the lawsuit also claims he regularly asked her to strip down to her underwear during rehearsals. There was no line Diddy wasn't willing to cross, allegedly smacking her and holding meetings in nothing but his own underwear. It wasn't just the physical contact either. If Richard didn't go along with his advances, she claims Diddy made sure she paid for it, leaving her out of songs and performances as punishment. Imagine that. You're part of a band and suddenly your voice is erased because you didn't fall in line with the boss's twisted expectations. Even after Danity Kane officially disbanded in 2009, the nightmare wasn't over for Richard. She continued to work with Diddy and his new group, Diddy Dirty Money, alongside Kalena Harper. But the toxic environment followed. The lawsuit takes a dark turn when it describes one night at Diddy's Los Angeles home where things spiraled into sheer terror. In a fit of rage over how Cassie Ventura cooked his eggs, Diddy allegedly hurled the pan at her, then violently dragged her up the stairs, leaving everyone around in shock. The following day, in a twisted attempt to downplay the horror, he sent flowers to Richard and Harper, calling it a lover's spat and warning them to keep their mouths shut or face dire consequences. But that was only the tip of the iceberg. Cassie, who later sued Diddy and settled out of court, suffered relentless abuse as detailed by Richard. It wasn't limited to the privacy of their home either. Surveillance footage reportedly captured Diddy kicking and dragging Cassie through a hotel hallway, with him allegedly bribing staff $50,000 to bury the tape. Richard's lawsuit paints a chilling portrait of Diddy's violent control, from pulling Cassie by the neck and punching her in front of party guests, to even striking her in the stomach during a high-profile dinner in full view of industry giants like Jimmy Iovine. What's even more chilling is that despite this open display of violence, Diddy's business didn't suffer. In fact, his deal with Interscope for $50 million went through as if nothing happened. The lawsuit even suggests that the success of this deal only emboldened Diddy, allowing him to continue these violent acts with no repercussions, knowing that his fame and fortune would protect him. But it wasn't just Cassie trapped in this nightmare. Richard recalls witnessing Kim Porter, Diddy's ex and mother of his children, leaving a recording studio in tears, her face bruised and swollen. It was a brutal reminder that no one was safe from his violent outbursts. Richard and Harper tried to help Cassie escape, begging her to leave Diddy for good. But the fallout was terrifying. Diddy's threats were unmistakably deadly. "You want to die today, and I end people." The message was clear. Crossing him meant risking everything. This lawsuit doesn't stop at Diddy. It pulls Interscope Geffen A and M Records into the fire, accusing them of turning a blind eye to his violent reign while continuing to profit from their relationship with him. Things hit a boiling point for Dawn Richard during a 2010 Saturday Night Live rehearsal with Diddy Dirty Money, and her dad had to jump in. It all started when Diddy lost it, demanding to know where Richard and Kalena Harper were, then blowing up on them right in the studio lobby. Full-on meltdown in front of everyone. Diddy was throwing insults like they were punches, making it a full-blown public spectacle. When Richard finally stood up and asked him to stop, it got worse. Instead of backing off, Diddy clenched his fist like he was ready to throw a punch. It wasn't until his bodyguard stepped in that things chilled for a second, but even then, the bodyguard dragged Richard and Harper outside, locking them in a car for hours. What did Richard do? She called her dad. He hopped on a train from Baltimore to NYC, ready to go head-to-head with Diddy. When he arrived, he wasn't playing. Richard's dad was ready to involve the cops, but Diddy had a different plan. He allegedly threw out a chilling warning. Think about your family, and think about your daughter's career. That's not just a warning, that's straight up intimidation. And after all that, Diddy had the audacity to tell Richard, "You don't call your dad unless you're in the hospital." If that's not the ultimate sign of control, I don't know what is. And it's not just the personal chaos that's got Richard fired up. She's also claiming Diddy's been cheating her out of millions for years. According to her, even after Danity Kane fell apart, Diddy kept using her music through Bad Boy Records, and those royalty checks? Yeah, they never showed up. Richard says she's owed over $1.2 million in unpaid royalties and wages just from her time with Diddy Dirty Money, plus an extra $350,000 for tour performances across the US. And it doesn't stop there. She's also asking for $1.5 million for promoting Diddy's Ciroc vodka brand. Bottom line, she's accusing Diddy of cashing in on her work while she was left with empty promises and no paycheck to match. But the hits keep coming. Richard was supposed to be part of the Making the Band reboot in 2020 as a judge, but thanks to the pandemic, that never happened. And guess what? She claims she never got paid for her involvement in that project either. Of course, Diddy's team didn't stay quiet. His attorney, Erica Wolf, clapped back, saying if Richard's experience was really that bad, she wouldn't have kept working with Diddy for so long, especially with Dirty Money or the 2020 reboot. Wolf's calling it what it is, a money grab, accusing Richard of throwing away a 20-year friendship just to cash out. But for Richard, this lawsuit isn't just about stacking checks. She's asking for a jury trial, seeking compensation for everything: lost wages, royalties, emotional distress, punitive damages, attorney's fees, you name it. She claims she gave her entire career to Diddy's empire, only to be left high and dry. And now, she's ready to make him pay. Diddy's team, though, they're calling BS. His attorney, Erica Wolf, fired back, claiming Dawn's accusations are all lies and that she's just trying to cash in as she promotes her new album. Wolf said in a statement, "Mr. Combs is shocked and disappointed by this lawsuit. In an attempt to rewrite history, Don Richard has now manufactured a series of false claims, all in the hopes of trying to get a payday, conveniently timed to coincide with her album release and press tour. But Diddy's lies are unraveling, and no one's falling for them anymore. Fans are seeing him for what he truly is, with one saying, "I wish all the people who have been victimized by this demon eternal ease and rest and millions of dollars in compensation, at the very minimum, TBH. Take every penny from him. What a monster." Another added, 15 pages into Don Richard's lawsuit against Diddy, and I'm convinced that this ninja is the Antichrist. The walls are closing in fast. It's not just whispers anymore. Lawsuits are piling up, ex-bandmates are flipping on him, and the skeletons from Harlem are tumbling out faster than he can hide them. Diddy's dirty secrets are finally spilling out into the light, and the fallout? It's about to be massive. The real question is, will he finally pay for all the chaos he's caused?